Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and we are here for a workout, I guess. Dumbbell workout. Wait, no. We are here to talk about the Dumbbell Indemnity. And of course, when I say we, that means I am not here to do this alone. Of course, joining me, as always, your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I think it's time we come clear. I am not an actual person or human being. I'm just a figment of your imagination, Miles.
Whoa.
Been inside your head all this time.
This is a weird choice of episode for that information to come out. I don't know.
I know. I felt like I had to get that off your chest, so, you know.
Whoa.
But,
I see what you did there.
I just feel a little weird because of all of our scheduling and moving around and people coming on, and I can't remember which way's up or which way's down, but I guess it's okay because they're Simpson episodes and we have resets every week, so even if it's out of order, we're still in order here. So let's go ahead and get on to it. The man, the myth, the gargoyle, it is Miles.
With a mug like this, gotta do podcasting. Richie, I just want to make sure everybody's aware, because it does sound like you are suffering from, like, a little bit too much quarantine, and it is, like, early April, so we are in the middle of that, but you're essential, sir, so, like,
yeah.
you shouldn't be having this sort of, like, weird, I don't know.
Existential crisis?
You're entitled to also feel like, the pains and the anxiety caused from a pandemic, I suppose. But yeah, you sound like somebody who's been cooped up in your room for like weeks, and you definitely have not been.
I'm just tired, with like essential workers like us, we have a little more extra stress right now. So maybe it's just getting to me. I don't know. It's getting to me, man.
I feel you, man.
That's another good thing what the Simpsons are for, man.
Perhaps we can come up with some sort of elaborate way of putting your car on some train tracks that'll benefit both of us financially.
Ooh.
Oh my god. I'm just going to say it now. I absolutely cannot say how much I love the scene where Homer rolls down the hill and off the rock and off like that every single time. Yeah. I just laugh out loud when I see that.
One of my favorite animation moments in The Simpsons, I think.
This is a weird episode in a lot of ways because it's both an episode that I do remember quite well, but at the same time, I didn't remember how it's just such a simplistic story. There's really not a B plot, and it fairly well just stays to a single narrative. It's interesting like that, and plus it's almost entirely about Moe, which is also really cool, but just very, very different.
This might be where we start seeing Moe's always been kind of the rough and tough kind of guy, and
well, he was a boxer, Yeah,
I'm glad that they do a callback to that too.
Oh, the cauliflower ears.
But I think this might be the episode where we start turning the corner with him a little bit, where he's more of the sad sap Moe. Maybe we'll start seeing that after that, because he becomes kind of pathetic over the years after this.
Yeah, whereas in the early years he's almost more of a scoundrel, especially with some of the schemes that we always see it at least it's alluded to him doing, or stuff with the pandas in the back, or the illegal speakeasy stuff. All of it is
someone's dissing your fly girl.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of his fly girl, we actually have a pretty sweet guest star on this episode of The Simpsons, continuing the trend of celebrities not playing themselves. Helen Hunt is actually on this episode, which is pretty cool. We might have some insight to how they had a connection to such a huge star that I'll talk about a little bit later in the episode. But for right now, let's go ahead and kick it off from the beginning. We are talking about Dumbbell Indemnity today, which aired on March 1st, 1998. This episode did have a chalkboard gag that said silly string is not a nasal spray. That's good to know.
Huh. Well, you're not using it right then.
Right? And then it's basically like the stuff you put in your pipes for plumbing, right? You just put the spray up there and it cleans out the sinuses. I don't know.
Comes out the other nostril as silly string.
We also get a a very appropriate couch gag as the Simpsons run into their couch and are crushed by essentially a car compactor, which will come into play later on in this episode as well.
Oh!
Yeah. The episode opens up with a Texas snowball fight, which it's cool to hear our state get a shout out. But if you are not aware, a Texas snowball fight is when you throw like hands full or balls, I guess, of ice cream at each other because it obviously doesn't snow, even though we know that it doesn't snow in Texas, but it definitely does in Springfield.
But in Texas, it melts before the snow hits the ground. I mean, the ice cream.
True, yeah. Lisa is just throwing plain vanilla, but it seems that whatever Bart is throwing has some extra ammo in it, because we hear Lisa scream out, "Ow, Bart! That has nuts in it!"
Ooh. Hey, I thought your mother told you to take a bath.
Yeah, Mom says a lot of things.
Oh, I understand, kids. I'm not a bath man myself. More of a cologne
man. Oh, I can just imagine like the stench of Homer with like just masking instead of bathing, just masking it with cologne. Everybody knows that person, or at least has known that person.
Everybody works with that person.
I love how casual the disrespect Bart has for his mother, and Homer just totally is like, "Oh yeah, I get that." It's really clearly inappropriate, but also very, very funny. Lisa explains to her father that they can't take a bath because the water heater's broken, and obviously Homer is going to attempt to fix this problem himself.
Oh my gosh.
So they go down to the basement, and Homer puts on a mask so that he can start beating the heater with a metal club.
And it works.
Well, at least the heater begins to rumble and spurt from loosening, like water begins spurting out of like the loosening joints, if that's what you mean by works. Out of my way! She's gonna blow! And Homer actually pushes the kids aside. Yeah. Not to safety, but just to, like, to clear the path.
Just so he can get to safety first. But I love the animation when, like, Marge pulls up outside and there's water pouring out all over the outside of the house. And, like, when she's coming up to the front door, the animation of her hair, where it's, like, clearly sucked up some of what's going on, so her hair starts bending over backwards.
It's like a just complete water mess, and Homer immediately runs over and is like, hey Marge, kiss kiss, I'm off to Moe's.
So there goes that storyline. It's done. There's a lot of unresolved storylines in this one.
And like we'll probably come across a few more, but yeah, like again, there's really no B plot per se. Like that's just like something that happens that gives Homer a reason to go to the bar.
Yeah.
So Homer is at the bar telling his story, and everybody's like, "Yeah, big deal. You got a wife. I've got a rash. Who cares?"
That's kind of rude, Moe.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Homer. It's just been 4 years since my last date with a woman.
Whatever happened to your mail order bride?
She's homesick for her old life, diving for tourist pennies in a Micronesian swamp.
So her career got in the way.
Oh my god, that's paints a pretty picture of how bad it must be to be with Moe, right?
Oh.
And he even says it himself. Hey, I don't blame her. No girl wants to end up with a Joe Puckle pear like me. Puke pear, excuse me.
Now, Miles, I won't hear any of it. You're a fabulous catch.
Oh, yeah? Well, how come I ain't fending off movie stars with a pointy stick?
Oh, it's probably due to your ugliness. That doesn't mean we can't find you a woman. Come on, we're going to the darkest bar in town.
Oh, man, and right off the bat, they're trying to go to, like, club. Homer, just picture Homer and Moe clubbing, and that is this next scene.
I actually feel like Homer would be pretty good at the club scene on his own. Like, he doesn't understand everything, and so he's just happy-go-lucky, and I think that would work well for him.
He's oblivious to, like, the people being disgusted by him.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Moe is, like, hyper-focused on it.
Yep.
And even Moe's, like, all paranoid and whatnot, and even says something like, I don't know, women can smell the panic, and right now I gotta be reeking of it.
Relax. All I smell is garlic and fish.
Much better.
Oh.
That's a good line too. And I also really Moe actually asks a woman to dance, or he specifically says, "May I have this dance?" And she replies, "All yours," as she walks away from it.
After he says, "You look pretty clean."
Yeah, and it's more of like it's like an observation, like you look pretty clean.
Yeah.
Oh man, but then there's like a little bit of hope here, for Moe at least. Immediately the audience can recognize that the woman he's talking to is clearly working for Bacardi, because that's all she talks about. Moe introduces himself. So, hi there, don't scream.
Oh, hi. Want to join me for a Bacardi and soda?
And she holds up like the label facing out. Yeah, that'd be, great.
Or maybe you prefer a cool, refreshing Bacardi colada.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Because Bacardi makes the night come alive with freshness.
Do you work for Bacardi?
No, I'm in love with you.
Oh,
it's a
man.
label that says drink rum on his forehead.
Dude, like, that line is almost more brutal than it is funny. Like, it is funny, but, like, it stings. Like, because you can tell Moe is, like, legitimately blindsided by something that he shouldn't be, but it's been 4 years, Richie.
But that means he had hope, and that's the part that hurts the most.
You know, letting someone have hope is perhaps the cruelest thing you can do to them.
Exactly.
So they leave the bar defeated because they did not find a woman for Moe. But as they're walking down the street, there's a woman that offers him a flower. Cheer up, here, have a flower.
All right, come on, what's the catch? A gorgeous woman don't just hand you a free daffodil.
Really? You think I'm gorgeous?
Yeah, well, the part that's showing. I guess you could have a load of weird scars or fake ass or something.
You don't talk to a lot of women, do you? And we should point out that this woman here who's named Renee and apparently runs a flower shop or a flower cart on the streets of Springfield at the time that two drunk men would be leaving a club, but whatever. But this woman is actually voiced by Helen Hunt, like Academy Award, either definitely nominating. Did she win? She probably won. If she hasn't won, she should have. She's a great actress, and she
maybe
voices
for as good as it gets. I don't remember.
I don't either.
Was she in that one?
I should have Googled that. I'll be honest. That's on me. But regardless,
I just think it's Twister.
Yeah, I just watched Twister. I actually just hosted a movie a Twister movie party for Alamo Draft House down here, and it was like super cool. A lot of fun.
It's a fun movie.
It is a good movie. It's a really good movie. And again, Helen Hunt's a great actress, and that's kind of the point of this whole thing, because she voices this character of Renee. And I think it's interesting to point out that right off the bat, you can tell that Moe and Renee have a lot of chemistry.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a reason for that.
Interesting. What did you read, sir? Now, we'll talk about it. We will. I'm sure some of you already know, but for those that don't, we got fun trivia coming your way. Renee points out that Moe doesn't talk to a lot of women, and I mean, Moe can't really argue that fact.
Well, no, not a lot. Well, gee, I'm sorry. I used to box. My brain's, it's kind of in and out.
Aw, that's awful. And look at your little ears.
Yeah, that's extensive cauliflowering.
Well, your bow tie is just darling.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it kind of draws the eye away from the old mug.
Oh, and this is like the real moment here where you can tell there's definitely something here, because Renee actually reaches over and touches Moe's cheek and says to him, "I like a face with a little character."
And then Homer, of all people.
Homer, who is again Moe's wingman through this. His goal is to try to help guide his dick, not block his cock, mind you, but guide his dick in the right direction. And that doesn't happen here at all, because immediately, the first time, there's actually a legitimate chance for Moe, and Homer's like, "Oh, let's get out of here, Moe. This is clearly going nowhere."
I want to say that, had to watch this episode multiple times here with our weird schedule, that I bring up constantly for some reason. But this whole scene makes me constantly think of Zoidberg and the Flower Girl in Futurama in the next to last episode of the series.
Oh, wow.
Like, I cannot get that episode out of my head because of this.
I
which
didn't
is weird
think about that
came
at
out.
all, but you're 100% right. And then there's obviously the connection with The Simpsons and Futurama.
Yeah, and completely different endings to these two stories, but like it felt like the exact same story to me, and I will never be able to get that out of my head now.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to go and rewatch that episode. Actually, now we were already talking TV before we started recording. Futurama is another series I need to binge watch here soon.
If only you had the time. Oh wait,
oh, that hurts, sir. Point fun at my pain.
But Moe gets some courage here, man. He asks her out on a date.
Yeah, he does actually, and I'm sure it's in the script here somewhere exactly what he says. But regardless, they are actually going out. Oh, that's right. He asked her before he even knows her name because Renee responds, "Well, I guess. By the way, I'm Renee."
Who cares? You're going out with me. He tells her not to eat anything for 3 days because he's taking her out for a steak the size of a toilet seat.
Yep. And we immediately cut. That's a big steak, sir. That's a large enough steak that, and there's places in Texas that if you can eat all of that for like in one sitting, you get it for free.
Well, it's just the way that he says it though, because he's talking about a freaking toilet.
It's kind of like later when he orders, fancy. I want your most expensive item stuffed with your second most expensive item. Or fanciest item. Yeah.
Lobsters stuffed with tacos.
Like cucaracha. But immediately after this, we cut from the ask out to the date itself, and it's a really fun clip to the sounds of I'm a Believer by the Monkees. And then I saw her face, boom, 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 and I'm a believer, boom, boom. Yeah, is this before Shrek? That's a good question, actually. I didn't think about that. What year did Shrek come out?
And we're gonna find out.
I want to say that was early 2000s, so I think this came first. Shrek's not that old, right?
Shrek's pretty old at this point.
Shrek's gonna when I get the answer, it's 2001. Okay, I feel good about that. First. So it's early 2001. Simpsons did it first. And it's, you know what, like, if you've seen the montage date from Shrek, then they basically do the exact same thing. Like, you're good. No. I really do enjoy, they go to the park and they actually go rollerblading. He immediately gets run over by a horse and carriage?
Horse and cart, yeah.
Yeah. So things are off to a good start. They also go to the aquarium, where it is now Willie, formerly Shamu, in the tank.
And he frees the whale.
How much does he pay to get that experience? Like, he slips the guy some cash so that they can ride the killer whales, and then they end up riding them out into the open ocean.
Well, just Moe, I think.
Yeah.
It's left behind.
I'm just saying, dude, a tiger costs like $2,000, according to Tiger King. A killer whale has to cost more than that.
Yeah, but I don't know when Tiger King takes place. Was that like 20 years ago Tiger pricing, or is that current Tiger pricing?
I think Tiger King is relatively modern. Like, I think it's up to date, like, in terms of if you're watching Tiger King for educational purposes because you want to get into the cat game, I'm pretty sure that the prices that they represent are accurate. Though, with the popularity that Tiger King is going to bring into the cat world, I don't know how that's going to affect
demand.
The market. Yeah.
Yep. Raise those
prices. Things are
prices.
going to get weird.
It's too many people have been talking about it, so I have to wait a while before I watch it.
And now everybody's got like plenty of time, and they're stuck at home. So when we come out of quarantine, there's going to be like little mini backyard tiger zoos in everybody's backyard.
Maybe that's the animal noise I'm hearing from my neighbor's backyard. Like when I got home this last night, my dog did not want to come inside at 4 a.m. because there was some noise coming from over there.
Right on.
Random tidbit, sorry.
Now that podcast has not only infiltrated all of like Facebook and Twitter, but also the Simpsons podcast. But hey, it's things like that keep us out of the top 20, my friend.
Oh.
Too soon?
But with mugs like these.
Right? That's the issue. They actually end up going on a double date with the Simpsons. So it's Homer and Marge at the Gilded Truffle with Moe and Renee.
Again.
Yeah, it's popping up more and more here.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Moe orders not only the Magnum, which is their best champagne, but also the finest food you've got stuffed with the second finest food.
Excellent, sir. Lobster stuffed with tacos.
And we immediately do a sweep edit to like the end of the meal, and I love that the like lobster carcasses left on their plate are wearing little sombreros.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
There's like shredded cheese
touch.
and lettuce hanging out all over the plate. It's like the backseat of Richie's car on his birthday.
That's like 2 cars ago.
That's fair. Again, inside jokes are always the best jokes for high percentage laughs on a public podcast. I
said I could order 100 tacos and eat them all, and I got through half a taco. My 23rd birthday, I was quite drunk.
So we see after this meal, Homer and Moe are chatting, but Renee and Marge are chatting, and Renee is actually noticing it seems like you've taken quite a shine to Moe. Mind if I ask why?
To be honest, at first it was just pity. He's got this insecure, sweaty charm.
And Renee pops in. Homer pops in. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've got that." To be fair, they could easily both be described as having a insecure, sweaty charm. Though, no, that's not true at all, because Homer is not insecure even a little bit.
Doesn't know the meaning of the word.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. All of the eddies.
So we cut back over to Moe's after this date, and we find that Moe is actually trying to order flowers for Renee, which is interesting, seeing as she runs a flower cart.
Yep, that's good point. He's trying to surprise her.
I guess. I don't know. I would have gone with candy, personally, but hey, what do I know? Barney is actually laughing at his friend's attempts at being romantic, I guess. Like, the idea to Barney is comical that Moe would even have a girlfriend. I don't know.
What a dick.
Right?
It's because he says, like, to Renee, my dearest, and then I can't remember what he says after Barney starts laughing at him. He's like, I'm going to jam this up your butt and blah, 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 blah. And they try to put that on the card.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, don't put that on there. And on the phone, he goes, well, read it back to me. No, don't do that. Like, I love that little bit.
That's actually one of my favorite running jokes in BoJack Horseman is every time Mr. Peanut Butter gets a sign printed out for like Diana or whoever, it always has like subtext conversation of like, say welcome back Diane, but put it in a pretty font, and like it'll say welcome back Diane, but put it in a pretty font, and like there's one of them that's like don't say this part, or don't write this part, like stuff like that, and on every single sign Mr. Peanut Butter ever has, it's got that like reoccurring thing going through it. So yeah, very fun. Another Simpsons did it, we'll go with. This where they make a joke about Moe using a Players Club card too, which is a discontinued at this point credit card company from the 90s that already had like kind of like a bad rap back then. Like it was kind of like almost like Discover was like always the butt of a joke. Like, do you take Discover? Like, of course we don't take Discover.
Nobody takes Discover.
Right. So this is now a dated joke about a company that was struggling back in 1998.
Oh, so it should be okay that Moe's maxing it out.
Yeah. In fact, I even read when I was looking it up because I was trying to do just a little bit of research, but apparently even Canada, like this is the article's words, like they said even Canada like discontinued it and replaced it with a different company. And like apparently like I don't know if that was supposed to be a joke in the article I read just because like Canada's so nice, like they wouldn't cancel anything, but like it made me laugh that they're like, yeah, even Canada doesn't do Players Club. Whatever that means.
Whatever.
Oh, so Moe is worried though when his Players Club card is actually maxed out because in his mind, Renee ain't ever gonna want to hang around with a Joe Pinchpenny.
Aw, come on, Moe. Think of all you had to offer besides money.
And then there's a moment where both men think before Moe replies, I need cash and lots of it.
And he's got a great idea for it.
He has a plan. He does. All he has to do is sell one of his kidneys. Or perhaps his car.
He's got an idea before that, though, doesn't he? Or is this the idea?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I missed. Yeah, he actually is going to collect on everybody's bar tabs.
Which
and
makes me think he's being such
leaves.
a nice guy. Like, giving people tabs and not calling them in.
Well, dude, seeing as, like, they're the only people that are ever at the bar, like, how has Moe been making money?
Yeah, exactly. He's got to be calling in those tabs frequently. But when everyone's leaving, I love that Barney actually jumps through the window when the door's open.
Wide open.
He's so scared that he has to leave.
But yeah, this is where Moe suggested he might sell a kidney or his car, but then he realizes, my car's not worth that much. But it is insured for $5,000.
Ooh, I mean, for that car, that's a good deal.
Homer, I need your help. You gotta steal this car and wreck it for me.
Steal? Oh no, you got the wrong guy.
And as he says
Drop
that,
something.
a ashtray falls out of his jacket. It clearly says Moe's on it. Yeah, drop something.
And then they just keep walking.
Yeah. Moe
I think that's the only reason he was wearing a jacket in the scene.
Yeah, 100%. They just needed to, like, have him concealing something.
Yep.
But Moe begs and pleads and even reminds him of all the great things that he's done for him as a friend. Like, I mean, what about that time everyone said you were too drunk to drive, but I gave you your keys anyway?
Oh, that's true.
But I love this scene so much. Homer has to think about it. Specifically, he needs to think about how Marge would respond. What would Marge say?
Homer, I insist you steal that car.
I'll do it!
And I definitely like the scene where Moe tries to explain the car stealing.
Moe has some props that he's using. He's got a toy car, which will represent the car, and then he's got this bar olive that'll represent Homer. Okay, then how about we have this car, and we got this little army man here. So the army man will represent the car, and the car... forget it. But at least Moe figured out quickly to use items that Homer can't eat.
Yeah. All right. So this plan, how's it going to work, Miles?
Well, Moe and Renee are going to go on the police cruise so that they will be out of sight, out of mind, and surrounded by cops, so they'll have the perfect alibi. And Homer's going to steal Moe's car and park it on the train tracks for the 10:15 train to hit.
All right.
I love how enthusiastic Homer gets. You're a genius, Moe. All your troubles will soon be over for a couple of months.
Yep. For as far as you can take $5,000. And the way Moe's spending money on Renee, it's probably only going to be a couple weeks.
Well, apparently that's a self-solving problem, but we'll get there. As Simpsons are home at dinner, we can see there's a little bit of odd behavior happening because Homer is dressed in all black, including a black cap, like a burglar's costume, essentially. And Marge is immediately questioning this. Why all the black?
Why all the pearls? Why all the hair? Why anything?
You look a little nervous, Dad.
No, you look a little nervous, Lisa.
You're up to something, aren't you?
No. I'm just going out to commit certain deeds.
And he walks out of the room.
Suckers.
So we cut to the police cruise where we do see Moe is actually getting on with Renee, and he takes a moment to point out his car in the parking lot there to Chief Wiggum specifically. He's like, you see it there? The one with the rubber hippie daisy, Space 7A.
Oh, yeah. What about it?
Oh, I was just thinking, what a good parking job I did with it.
Hey, yeah, that is nice. Hey, Lou, check out that park job in 7A.
Lou's already getting that's sauced. Sweet. Yeah, all these cops are drunk for what it's worth. That's what you do at a police cruise ball or whatever. I guess that's why you go out into the water. I don't know. Yeah.
Wiggum says something when they first get there. Watch your drink minimum until we're far out in the sea, like that he paused until we're out in the water.
Yeah. Homer is actually like gleeful about this whole car thief thing. It's like just a fun scheme to him. So he's like getting really excited. He's going to be the best car thief ever. And he opens up the door of Moe's car to find Snake has already beat him to the job, and he's trying to hotwire it.
Hey! Oh no, you don't!
Homer hurls Snake to the ground, and he like pulls him out of the car and throws him on the ground. And he jumps in and drives away. So Snake basically did all the work for him.
But he could have just let Snake take the car, and it would have been over. He would have been off the hook. And I love that, like, he has that realization when he's in the car, and he's like, catch you stealing a car. Don't!
Yeah, he could have been off the hook entirely, but instead he's just left on the ground in pain.
Homer Snake going at it again.
Yeah, it's true. They were just at it a few episodes back, weren't they?
We've had some run-ins this year.
So, with all that time he saved by not having to start the car himself and letting Snake do it for him.
Stealing a car from Moe. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Insurance fraud today.
But then he drives by a drive-in movie theater that is playing the film Hail to the Chimp.
Heck yeah.
And he decides, he's got time.
Yeah, but it's not 10:15 yet.
So he pulls in to enjoy the screening, and we cut back to see Renee is with a very nervous Moe. Moe, you seem awfully distracted tonight, and you're sweating a lot, even for you.
Am I? I hadn't noticed.
And they're literally slipping in, like, the puddled sweat below their feet, like, coming from Moe's face.
The waiter walks by and just completely
eats it.
Yeah.
Comically loses, like, an entire tray of, like, glasses and everything.
Then you hear the train whistle.
And you can actually visibly see the, like, relief on Moe. Like, they did a good job with his facial expressions on this. And Moe has a very emotive face when they need him to. It's interesting. Yeah. It's an unusual design character, but he's still very expressive.
Well, when he's so, like, the same tone all the way through the first, like, 7 or 8 seasons, and then you're in season 9 and you need him to have these other expressions, they definitely stand out.
Yeah, especially since he's always been so just like ho-hum, like, gruff guy behind the bar. 100% with you on that. So at the cruise, Moe is finally relaxing a little bit because he knows the train is about to take care of all of his financial problems. And that's when Chief Wiggum points out that there's a car driving up on the... The train whistle wakes Homer up when he's sleeping in the car at the theater. Yeah, Homer fell asleep watching the Hail to the Chimp, which I do like. There's a scene where somebody talks back to the monkey president, which is actually an upgrade from real life. And the chimpanzee, like, physically assaults this person, and Homer just is like, that's what happens when you don't hail to the chimp.
I say that to people all the time when something wrong happens to them. And nobody ever understands what I mean by that. I've always said
it's a very specific reference.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I'm with you on that. But yeah, Homer is trying to, like, make a drive across town to get his car, Moe's car rather, into position. And he makes it to the train tracks just in time to have missed the train because he looks at it going the other direction. So he's coming up and improvising with Plan B, and that's when we actually see Chief Wiggum talking to Moe on the cruise ship. Hey Moe, isn't that your car up there with the rubber hippie daisy and the one parked in 7A?
Hey, what's it doing there? It was supposed to be on the railroad tracks. I mean, parking lots.
He totally, like, confesses on this situation. Like, very not smooth at all.
They're drunk. They don't realize it.
Yeah. Homer is, like, actually really proud of himself in this moment, but as he's plunging his car, again, Moe's car, to, like, barrel off the end of a cliff into the water, he actually dives out of the car and, like, rolls to safety, but... The scene every time. This is the scene we talked about at the top of the show because he rolls up this perfectly curved rock that acts just like a ramp and throws him right back into the driver's seat right before he goes taking off over the edge.
It's funny every single time.
And then immediately, you do the thing where like the car floats for a second, and then it starts to sink to the bottom, and all the cops gather around, and
But then it rolls even further and sinks even to a more deep bottom. Like it just keeps falling further and further down.
It gets worse and worse. It's like that scene with when Bart had to go and get the artwork or whatever for the flying hellfish. But
oh yeah, that too.
Chief Wiggum and the rest of the police are basically just waiting. That car thief can't hold his breath forever.
And if he can, Chief,
well, then God help us all.
One of the better lines.
It's Aquaman? Like, is that what's happening? But Homer does, in fact, have to come up for air, and immediately they book him and take him into jail, and they even fingerprint
tell him
him.
hands in the air, and then he puts his hands up and sinks. Back into the water.
I love this line with Chief Wiggum as they're processing Homer. Your fingerprints are just like snowflakes. They're both very pretty.
I like that even on the cards they have, because it always stands out in my mind that you only see 4 fingerprints on each hand. I'm glad that they keep it the way it should be.
They keep that, consistent.
Continuity.
Nice. Unless they're fingerprinting God.
Uh-oh.
So
both of the fingerprints are very pretty.
Lou tells Homer that he has visitors coming, and when his family walks up, Homer's like, "Guys, wait, there's supposed to be visitors coming." Dad,
we're the visitors.
Oh, great.
So fake.
He tries to save it, but he's very clearly disappointed that it's just his family. So Homer tries to explain the situation, and he's talking to Moe, who's actually come to see him at his cell window. But
a very oddly shaped prison system, I must say.
Yeah,
anybody can walk by outside and talk to the prisoner.
That's like almost out of like a Western, like back in the day when we used to have that type of thing. Like, I don't think that's a thing at all anywhere anymore, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
For storytelling purposes, it works perfectly.
But yeah, Moe is like super thankful for everything Homer's done for him, but Homer's a little bit like, aren't you gonna help me get out of jail?
No.
The problem is Moe is actually like still having the like he has all that money, but it was to take a trip to Hawaii with Renee. And
it's not. He says he's going to go bail him out, and then she brings up, "Oh, hey, look, a trip to Hawaii." And then he gets sidetracked, and he's like, "Hell yeah, let's go."
So he basically gets put in this position where he has to choose between doing the clearly right thing of bailing his friend out or taking his new girlfriend to Hawaii. It sucks that those things happen to cost the same amount of money.
So he chooses her.
And naturally, that's the choice that that Moe makes while Homer looks on in just complete desperation.
He could see all of it, but he's getting nervous because at 3:00 that day, they're going to make him go out for exercise. Exercise, Miles!
He treats that announcement with like the same type of fear you would have if you were on death row and it was your final moments here.
Which is weird because he will be kind of exercising in a little bit.
Yeah, and like you said, Homer is actually like kind of overhearing this, and he like from the distance he has to hear the conversation. All he hears is Hawaii, so he's like, "Hawaii? What about Hawaii? Moe, who's going to Hawaii? Am I going to Hawaii?"
Stop saying Hawaii in there.
Apparently, that's outside the rules or against protocol. Homer is trying to plead his case from behind bars by just clinging and announcing that he's innocent and he doesn't want to be here anymore.
I changed my mind. I don't want to be in here anymore.
Forget it, Simpson. You're going to the chair. The interrogation chair.
Ooh.
Plug it in, boys. What? Oh, I'm sad we don't see this scene. We see back with Moe at Moe's that he's actually being haunted by Homer's ghost, even though Homer isn't actually dead. But just like Homer in real life, he has to shoo Homer away from sucking on the end of the beer taps. And he also like guilts Moe about, leaving his friend behind bars while he's there.
Yep, that's exactly what a ghost of you when you're still alive should do.
So Moe decides that it's time that he's going to come clean with Renee.
Renee, there's something I gotta tell you.
Oh no, you're not. You're gay, aren't you? Oh boy, Renee, you sure can pick 'em.
Nah, it ain't that.
Oh, what? So you're married?
No. Hey, why'd you say gay first?
And then we cut immediately.
I actually love Helen Hunt's response there because the way she just
it's cut off of the script. Yeah, she just kind of gives like a non-answer, and this is a very
Simpsons way to do it, and I just like that Helen Hunt like pulled that off so effortlessly. It seems.
I also feel like this is a very like late '90s joke for what it's worth. Like, I don't think that you would find this in like a season 30 episode per se, just because like culturally speaking, it wouldn't hit like it did. But like, definitely somebody of Moe's generation is going to be questioning like what flamboyant like things do I do that make you think that?
Yeah.
But
it was the thing at the style at the time, I guess.
Basically he would move his onion off his belt so that he could, think about his walk. Back at the prison, we actually see that Hans Moleman is like the librarian from Shawshank Redemption, essentially.
Yeah.
But he offers Homer some reading material, and Homer picks the book How to Tunnel Out of Prison.
This could be useful.
And then he immediately uses it to knock out Hans Moleman.
I have a lot of questions, like, what did he do after this? Because he had to get through the front entrance, right?
Yeah, it's not like Hans Moleman was the only person keeping him from escaping prison.
Gatekeeper.
But, apparently he had to hit a lot of people with that book.
We had a lot of books.
True. But we cut back. You're right. This is another one of those scenes. There's just like we all we know is like hit Moleman with a book, escape from jail. Like step 3 profits.
Get out of jail free card.
Yeah. Not really sure what the step 2 was.
Phase 3 is escape.
But we cut back to the bar where Moe is now wrapping up his confession, telling Renee everything about how he basically screwed over his friend and was doing it all just trying to impress her.
It'll be hell being in the slammer, but I forgot what he says after this, Miles.
Yeah, it's not scripted right here, which is weird, but basically
I got to take my medicine.
Renee is really sweet right here. She responds basically by saying like, Moe, everyone's human, like we all make mistakes, like the important thing is that you're doing the right thing now.
Yeah, that's right. Unless...
And then immediately, even though, like, she's given him this, like, huge stretch of rope, essentially, Moe comes up with another scheme. This time he's gonna burn down the bar. He's
gonna write a letter to the judge, freeing Homer of any charges. Uh-huh. Then we go to the graveyard cemetery, we get us 2 corpses.
Uh-huh.
We switch clothes with them, and we burn down the bar, and we put the bodies inside. And then we start our new life in Hawaii.
And that's when Renee is clearly packing up her stuff. She actually has to ask Moe for her keys.
Oh, sure, here.
He asked her, are you off to get corpses?
Yes, Moe, I'm off to get the corpses. Yeah.
That's another one of the lines that I would struggle not to consider for my favorite of the episode, just with the delivery Helen Hunt has there. Like, yes, Moe, I'm off to get the corpses.
But again, this is some tricky setup here. Like, I like that Moe has her car keys, because if she has her own car keys, she just leaves, and you don't get that line. She's just gone. So, but she has to ask him for the keys, and that makes them have to have an interaction.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's smart setup on that, just to make sure that they do have that moment. And to some degree, it's a little bit of a callback to the Bacardi girl, like just the way that he's so oblivious. Like, and part of it is like his whole thing from the get-go. His goal was to like land a woman, right? Like that was like it was like a targeted thing in that moment. So like kind of just how oblivious he actually is to women being people. Like, he's just, it's like trophy hunting in a lot of ways. Like, even to the point where he was like, yeah, I don't care what your name is. You agreed to go out with me.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think this is where it all just kind of comes crumbling down, and Renee sees through that filter now that, before everything was rose-colored glasses.
Nothing charming anymore.
Yeah, he's losing his charm by the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Homer is determinedly marching to confront to confront Moe.
Must kill Joe.
Must kill Joe. Whee! Yeah, he actually is still riding this book cart, which means that not only did he escape, but he got the entire library of the prison system escaped too, and he's riding it just like I do grocery carts to this day.
And he's getting exercise, damn it.
He is. That is still technically exercise.
Yes.
So Moe and Homer actually confront each other at the bar.
Well, Moe's upset about Renee leaving, and he's already got the match lit in his hand after pouring all the booze there. So when he's so upset, the match burns down and burns his finger, and he drops it, and that sets the whole place on fire. So
he doesn't actually intend to put it up in flames at this. Kind of. He intended to, but then he changed his mind, but then his mind changed for him when he burned his finger.
Yeah.
Either way, it actually ends up with Homer and Moe fighting at this point until Barney shows up at the door because of the lethal level of carbon monoxide fumes. Barney actually has to save them.
Need to take a nap. I, too, also nap need.
But Barney apparently saves the day.
I love the silhouette, though, when he's coming through the doorway, and it looks like he's holding two people, but it's two kegs of Duff, and then he rolls them down, and then he comes back through the doorway with Homer and Moe and 2 cases of Duff beer.
Smart man, that Barney. He knows that these hard times ahead are going to require alcohol.
Yeah, and he's like, Moe, Homer,
the booze! And once they come to from their monoxide gassing, Moe is actually apologetic. I'm sorry, Homer. I've been the world's biggest rat. Can you ever forgive me?
Aw, I can never stay mad at you, Moe. After all, you get me drunk.
And the two men embrace, hugging each other, until Moe starts crying. Oh, my poor bar. It's all gone.
Oh, Moe. Moe. Dry those beady little eyes. Your buddy Homer will get you back on your feet.
And we cut back for our final time to the Simpsons home, where we now see that Moe's is up and running in the Simpsons kitchen, complete with the barflies, the dartboard, the balloon machine in the bathroom, and the Moe's neon sign out front. Marge warns the kids that they don't want them touching anything in their house anymore, right as she ducks out of the way of the dartboard, which is apparently placed above the sink where she's washing dishes.
And Homer's the one that threw the dart. Sorry, I've got a lot of background noise today. I apologize.
You're good. I love the fact that it is in fact Homer throwing the dart, just to add even more of how essentially unthoughtful he is in so many ways. He's very, very self-centered. He has the bar. It's even a closer walk than it used to be, which is probably even a positive. And really, the only one that's absolutely miserable with this conclusion is a character we often see, basically at the end of her wig with each ending of these episodes, and that's Marge, who is essentially just having to give up her way of life for her husband's barfly friends.
Oh, poor Marge.
And that is actually how this episode ends. That is the end of the episode you Indemnity. And like I said, this is a good episode, but it's a weird episode, man. It's a real weird episode. But did you or that book of yours have anything else that you wanted to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I had a lingering question on my mind that I wrote down the first time I rewatched this episode. And then I had it again each time I watched it afterwards, and then when I was looking for goofs on IMDb today, they had the exact same question. So it's the burning question on all of our minds. Why is the prison system and the police like oblivious to the fact that Homer escaped. Why did they not follow up? Why don't they not care? Like he literally escaped from jail, and then him and Moe got in the fight, and they just hugged. So like nobody went to prison. Apparently they're just gonna let Homer go.
Well, and
like,
it was like while Moe's was on fire, so police and firemen would be on site. You would think, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like they're just like, too much paperwork.
I could also see Police Chief Wiggum making the argument of like, well, he worked so hard to break out. It seems like he kind of probably learned his lesson.
I mean, Snake does it every other week, so maybe the judge would be like, well, homers will be homers.
That's just how our citizens roll. Very cool. Go
That was
ahead,
a good episode. I enjoyed this one. That car scene, the rolling thing, that always puts this high up on my list.
I think that because Homer was so involved, it definitely helped boost this one a lot. But at the end of the day, like we talked about, this is very much Moe's story. And it's kind of cool to see that, you know, we now have Mike Scully as the showrunner, but he's kind of expanding on what Bill and Josh started in the last few seasons, where they're exploring the rest of Springfield and not just what happens with with the Simpsons family specifically.
Right.
A couple of fun facts when we teased when we didn't. First of all, I will say that while Homer was in prison, he did have the prison number 5F124670, which the first four digits of that are this episode's production code, 5F12. But we also talked a lot about how much chemistry Moe and Renee had together in all of their scenes, and that could be because of the real-life chemistry that Hank Azaria and Helen Hunt had in real life. Hank and Helen actually met on the set of Mad About You, which Helen Hunt was the star of, and Hank Azaria apparently had some guest starring roles on. But when they did this episode of The Simpsons, apparently, I don't know if it was this specifically or if this was going on before, but it wasn't too long after the recording of this episode that Hank and Helen actually got married. They got married in the year 1999, but it was a short-lived marriage. It only lasted 17 months. And then they were already divorced by 2000. However, later both parties have they were very quiet about it for when it was happening. But in later interviews, they've both addressed how happy they are for each other and it's amicable and all that good stuff. But definitely some real life chemistry happening between these characters. And I would have to imagine that has to do with just the comfort and chemistry that these two actors had to voice these characters.
And the fact that they weren't married before the recording.
That's probably also the big. that's the big one right there. It would have been a completely different episode if this was recorded 2 years later.
Oh no.
But that is gonna do it for this week's episode of Best Darn Diddly. To all of you that follow us online, support us, like, share, donate on Patreon, and do all those great podcasting things that we love so much. We cannot thank you enough. It means the world to us. Please keep doing that. And, Richie, where can they find us online?
You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at @thewiz_kid23. He is at Mr. Most Days Off. But of course, most importantly, follow our show at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY. Works all over social media.
And next week, we are going to be revisiting the Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein years. That's right, it's a holdover episode. We're going to be talking about Lisa the Simpson.
Remember, guys, you can't stay mad at Miles. After all, he gives us podcasts.
And until next time, be cromulent to each other.